Let me ask you something, and be honest. Do you wake up and find yourself clearing your throat 10, 20, maybe even 50 times before lunch? You know the drill. You swallow, you cough, you sip some warm water. It works for what? A few seconds? And then bam, that thick, sticky feeling is right back. It is incredibly frustrating, especially first thing in the morning, when that urge to clear your throat is just literally constant. Well, welcome to this Xplainer. Today, we're going to demystify this whole persistent problem, and we're drawing directly from the clinical research of senior health specialist Dr. Emily Waterly. We are skipping the generic, unhelpful advice and giving you a real, research-backed action plan to finally get some relief. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our medical detective journey for today. We're starting with the morning mucus mystery, moving on to the 4 hidden causes, covering warning signs for doctors, looking at the case of Margaret, and wrapping up with your daily action plan. So let's kick things off with Section 1, the morning mucus mystery, and why the throat is often just the scene of the crime. To solve this mystery, we've got to completely reframe how we look at mucus. Honestly, it's not the enemy. It's actually your respiratory system's absolute first line of defense, catching dust and bacteria before they can sneak into your lungs. The real issue isn't the mucus itself, it's what happens when its environment shifts. Take mucociliary clearance, for example. That's just the fancy medical term for your body's built-in biological conveyor belt. You have these tiny hair-like structures called cilia that are constantly sweeping mucus up and out. But, and here's the catch, research confirms this conveyor belt measurably slows down as we get older. The cilia literally beat slower. So mucus that would have cleared out in mere minutes when you were 40, yeah, now it stubbornly pools at the back of your throat for hours when you hit 65. Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds, the 4 hidden causes, where we investigate the physiological suspects. Okay, so since your natural conveyor belt is already moving a bit slower, anything that triggers extra mucus is going to make it linger way longer. Suspect number 1, a sneaky condition called silent reflux, or LPR. You see, as the years go by, the little muscular valve at the bottom of our esophagus kind of loses its grip. It gets weaker. So while you're fast asleep, microscopic droplets of stomach acid can creep all the way up past your chest, landing right on your super sensitive throat and vocal cords. And your body's completely logical reaction to this acid attack, it pumps out extra mucus to coat and protect that tissue. And here is exactly why they call it silent. Up to 50% of people dealing with silent reflux have absolutely zero heartburn, no chest burning whatsoever. You could have no obvious digestive symptoms at all, which makes this the single most consistently missed cause by both patients and, quite frankly, doctors too. Moving on to suspect number 2, post-nasal drip. But look, forget about those pounding headaches or a completely blocked nose. For a lot of folks over 55, this is just a quiet, low-level sinus inflammation. While you're sleeping, gravity simply takes over, pulling the steady, thick accumulation of mucus right down the back of your throat. And here is a wild fact. If you reach for those drying allergy pills or antihistamines, you're probably making it worse. They turn that mucus into a dried-out, sticky mess that is even harder to clear. Now, suspect number 3 brings us to a really staggering statistic, 53%. If you are over 65, you have a 53% higher likelihood of developing throat irritation if you're taking ACE inhibitor blood pressure medications compared to younger folks. These are super common drugs, but they can cause a buildup of a compound called bradykinin, which physically irritates the throat. It is not an allergy, guys. It's literally a pharmacological side effect, and the tricky part, it might not even show up until months after you've started taking the pills.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how we can visualize it. Think of mucus like honey. Well-hydrated mucus is thin, it's easy to clear, it basically flows like warm honey. But dehydrated mucus, that stuff is sticky, thick, and it pools like cold honey. So our 4th suspect is the 1-2 punch of dehydration and environmental irritants. As we age, our natural thirst mechanism just naturally drops off. You can be totally dehydrated without even feeling thirsty. Combine that cold honey situation with dry indoor heating, pollution, or even those scented candles, and your throat's defensive mucus response is just jammed in the on position.
Which brings us to Section 3, warning signs for doctors, when you need to seek professional help. Now, while everything we've talked about so far is totally manageable, we absolutely need to talk about when these symptoms become medical red flags. Look, the vast majority of chronic mucus issues after 55 are completely benign, but if you start seeing blood-tinged mucus, or if you have unexplained weight loss, difficulty swallowing, a persistent lump in your neck, or a really major voice change that just won't go away, These are serious signals. They require immediate attention from a physician. Please do not try home remedies for these. Go get a professional evaluation right away.
All right, on to Section 4, the case of Margaret, where we humanize the data.
I want you to meet Margaret. She's a 68-year-old retired teacher, and her constant throat clearing had gotten so intense that her grandchildren were actually imitating the sound at family dinners. Talk about frustrating, right? Let's trace her timeline. She had been dealing with this awful clearing for nearly 2 years. But playing medical detective, we see she actually started an ACE inhibitor 18 months prior. So what did she do? She slightly adjusted how she slept, scheduled a medication review with her doctor, who happily swapped her blood pressure med class, and she started hydrating properly. The result? A massive 80% reduction in her symptoms in just 6 weeks.
Margaret actually told Dr. Waterley, "I spent 2 years thinking my body had given up on me. It hadn't. Nobody had just bothered to listen." I mean, wow. If you've been repeatedly told that your chronic throat clearing is quote-unquote just part of aging, that probably hits super close to home. Let me tell you, your frustration is entirely valid. And that leads us perfectly into Section 5, your daily action plan. Let's reclaim your comfort.
So the crucial point here is that you absolutely don't have to just live with this. Based on Dr. Waterley's research, let's build a morning routine with steps you can start literally tomorrow. Step 1, drink 1 to 2 glasses of plain, warm water first thing when you wake up. Yes, before your coffee or breakfast. This instantly rehydrates your body and thins out all that mucus that pulled overnight. Step 2, start a daily nasal rinse with warm saline. This safely flushes out that mild sinus inflammation causing the post-nasal drip, and there's incredible clinical evidence backing this up. Step 3, hydrate intentionally all day long. Seriously, do not wait until you're thirsty. Set a timer on your phone if you have to, just keep sipping. Now, for your evening game plan. Stop eating at least 3 hours before your head hits the pillow. And try raising the head of your bed just a few inches. You can use a wedge pillow or even some blocks under the bed frame. This brilliantly uses gravity to keep your stomach acid exactly where it belongs, which stops that silent reflux right in its tracks. Also, do a sweep of your house and reduce indoor irritants. Think about getting a humidifier for dry air and maybe ditch the strong air fresheners. Finally, consider booking an empowering medication review with your doctor. Print out your symptom timeline and just ask them about your prescriptions, especially if you're on blood pressure meds.
I want you to remember this. Your age is not a weakness. Your knowledge is your power. You really don't have to be a passive passenger on this frustrating ride anymore. Now that you know the real hidden culprits, from sneaky silent reflux to those stealthy medications, are you ready to take these insights straight to your doctor and become the driver of your health again? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.